Okay, so for those people that are gone, you guys, I'm going to give you a couple of accelerated math tips so that when you get these weird questions, you know what to do. So one question might be asking you something like this. What must be added to both sides to solve this problem by completing the square? What it wants you to do is not to solve it with completing the square. It wants you to figure out what you have to add to both sides. So basically that's asking you what number are you going to put in the blank? Okay, that's all that this question is asking you. And you figure out what number gets put in the blank by taking half of that middle number and then squaring it. But in this case, remember that if the 8 is here, you have to pull the 8 out first. So I would have 8 times x squared plus 6/8. If you divide that by 8, you have 6/8, which is 3/4, plus your blank equals 4 plus your blank, right? And then you would have to figure out what half of this is. So half of 3/4 is 3/8, and then squared would be 9/16. Okay, and that's the number that would go in the blank on both sides. That's all that this is asking you, is what number you would put in the blank. Okay, so that's one kind of question. Another kind of question you're going to get is something like this that says what must be divided to solve this problem by completing the square. And that means that in order to complete the square, this number has to be a 1. It's not a 1. What am I going to divide by? What do I divide by to make this be a 1? 8. Thank you. I would divide by 8. Okay, that's all that this question is asking. And then the other thing is that you might solve these by completing a square, and you might get an answer that looks something like this, but it doesn't look like the answers that they have. And that's because what they will often do is get these two things as common denominators. So right now, this 1 that's out in front is really a 1/1. And so if I get common denominators, my common denominator here between 1 and 2 is 2. So I will turn this into 2/2 so that I have a common denominator. And then my top would be 2 plus or minus √7. And my common denominator down here is 2. And that's how they will write it in accelerated math. Even though it doesn't look like your original, it's the same answer. They just got common denominators. Okay, so that is some accelerated math tips for that assignment. Okay.